what we needed. Right, so let's get going. And the first thing we are going to do is, who here, quick show of hands, who thinks they are absolutely the bee's knees at customer services? Oh, wow. Like Paula's like, I'd like to put my hand up, but nobody else is putting their hand up. So now I'm not fully sure where I'm going with this one. Absolutely. And it's I would imagine most of you might go, oh, Nell's been slating customer services and how bad we are at this. So I would imagine there might be a slight hint underneath this. But actually, the biggest thing that customers are expecting right now, or what you are leaving them with, is two things. And the first one is satisfaction. And I'd like you to quickly write down, and again, on your pieces of paper or in the chat box, what does that look like for your industry? What does satisfaction look like for your customers? Again, feel free to unmute and just shout a few things out for those of you that see in a transformation. That's satisfaction, Sarah, or is that, yeah, okay. So yeah, satisfaction.
My client would be able to move on and see a transformation in themselves.
Okay. Anyone got anything else? Prompt service, accurate and complete advice, meeting or exceeding expectations, fast, effective service. Yeah, I think, Tina, for me, you're definitely hitting that on the head there. Meeting or exceeding expectations. I would say that satisfaction is meeting expectations. Met on time. Yes, Elaine, absolutely. And I would almost say that expectations are met if it is on time at a minimum. But actually what we want them to do is we want them to be delighted, not satisfied. We want them to be delighted. So what does delighted look like for you? Again, pop some thoughts in the comment box. What's the difference between satisfying your clients and delighting your clients? Gone above and beyond, feeling excited, exceeding expectations, absolutely. Early delivery. Now, what's the down? So twice it's already said exceeding expectations, more than they expected, making them feel important, being nice to them. Being nice to them is like a basic, right, Tim? But, you know, making them feel important, that I do love. I think that's a great one. Now, we've already got it there, more than they expected. Once you deliver something to a client, what's the downside to that?
I think this is actually something that we struggle quite a lot with our main customers. We've had our main customer now for 5 years, and I think that they now have just got this expectation of Correct. What we think is exceeding is actually the norm.
Correct.
And then when we go, part of one of our things that we have is ISO 9001. We have to ask them for a rating in our quarterly review with them. And when we're asking for that rating in the quarterly review, we're only getting like meeting expectations because we've exceeded so much, but we expect exceeding expectations because actually we've gone over and above.
Correct. Absolutely. And that is a challenge a lot of business owners have. We do so many great things to get our clients to meet their expectations, to go above and beyond those expectations. But what that then becomes is that becomes the norm. And then that's what they constantly will be expecting from you. So that means you constantly have to be moving the goalpost, or you constantly have to be explaining what are actually the expectations they should be having and where have you gone above and beyond. And that's some of the stuff that we'll be talking about as we go through the rest of this morning. So I'd like you to have a think back of when is the last time where you as a client yourself, so you've been on the other end, where you've been really wowed somewhere, where you've been really satisfied, where a business has gone above and beyond your expectations and you've gone and told other people about this. Give me an example of what that was. I'm very good at letting tumbleweeds until someone unmutes and talks. I just thought I'd point that out at the start.
Hello.
Oh, go on, Elaine, and then we'll go to Sarah.
Yeah, so I stayed in a hotel in early August, and I asked one of the receptionists a question, and she was going to come back to me, and she didn't come back to me. So I thought, oh, okay. Last night, she phoned me at 7:30 to say, very sorry, she was looking into my question in more detail, but she'd gone on holiday. She was only back yesterday, had typed up a whole load of stuff, and would I like it sent in the post? So that I was very impressed by that, because she could have just done nothing.
Nice. I like that. And you are more likely to go and recommend that hotel or talk about that experience and then mention that hotel by name, right?
That's right.
Okay. Oh, someone at the door. Oh, that's sad, because Sarah was just going to share her story. So what you want to think about is, when you have had an experience like this, what are the key factors that you share? What are the facts that you share with other people? The name of the hotel. What was it that they did? Why did they go and beyond, go above and beyond your expectations? So those are all the points that you would share with someone else when you share that wow experience that you have had. So how can you put those into your business and into your industries? What would those be like for your business, I guess, is the question. We've already done that. So we need to give customers more than they expect. And my first question with that is really simple. How do you know what they're expecting? Are you assuming that you know? When's the last time you've asked clients what their expectation is? And we often hear this, you know, under promise, over deliver. And often in sales, especially right now, because we're all trying to make sure that we have more clients and more clients and more clients, we often over promise and then very much under deliver. And we all know that the other one, the first one, the under promise and over deliver, gets us better results. But how do we know what their expectations are if we don't ask? What's stopping you from asking what their expectations are? Who does ask? Is it mapped out?
Would you set it out in your some sort of agreement, service terms, offering, just clearly what it might be?
Possibly.
The downside with that, though, is that I guess if you're too prescriptive, I'll give you another example. I've had something recently, a service where I was quite happy with it at the end, but they didn't really do what they said they were going to do on the service list that I signed up to. So even though I was happy, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, oh, they didn't do that and they didn't do that.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful, don't you, what you promise?
Yeah, absolutely. And also, for me, this goes back to, are you promising too soon? Are you making promises before you've even asked? Because, you know, if my expectation as a client is X, and you already saying, well, what we're going to deliver is X, Y, and Z, now all of a sudden my expectation has moved to X, Y, and Z. But until we know where both sides sit, and as a client, you're in charge of this. So the point I'm trying to make is, how often do you ask your new clients, or even your current clients, what their expectations are of your product or service? Because then you know, A, what expectation are you hitting, and B, what would be that over delivering looking like. If I can give you one piece of advice as you're going through this, especially for those of you that are making actual notes on a piece of paper, I mean, if you can, it might be a bit too late, but try to have a different color available. I often work with red. Red's the color of action. There you go. Sarah's well trained. Lovely. But anything that you go through where you have an action point, just put a quick big A in a different color with a circle around it. So later on, when you go back through your notes, it becomes easier to pick up all your action points. Just as a bit of a learning side note there.
I do actually on a questionnaire I send out, I say, what would they like to achieve from their consultation? And then I make sure we go back to that. And obviously there's loads more, but then at least I've got something to work to say, actually, what we do.
Love that. Great one. And for me, this is a key to good customer service. And I guess the thing that we don't see the most is good customer service is proactive. And when you really think about it, when you think about good customer service, it often comes on the back of something that went wrong. But really, it should be proactive. It should be doing something that you do in advance. Don't wait until there's a problem before you really start looking after your customers. And then the next question with that is really simple. Is your customer services, your customer journey, is that mapped out? Is that in a process? Sarah's like, yes, but that's because we've only just done that, Sarah. Can we just point that out? It's just been done. And we need to think outside the box. Always and all the time. Always and all the time. Think outside the box. It goes back to the point I made very much when we started. I love people sharing ideas of something that they've seen somewhere, or that they've experienced, or that they do really well in their business, because often that cross-pollination of ideas across industries makes someone go, oh, I like that. Let's try that in my industry. Let's try that in my business. So if you do have a great customer experience somewhere else yourself, when do you think, oh, how can I implement that in my business? Would that work in my business? How would I make that work in my business? Or do you go, oh, that was really great, go and tell 10 other people about it, but then don't do anything with it? Because that also doesn't make a lot of sense. And this is just a summary of what we've already said. Customers will keep expecting you to keep getting better and better and better. Every time you do something and you meet that expectation, they'll expect you to get better and better and better. So you have to keep innovating. You have to keep finding new ideas. So what are your moments of truth? Where have you impressed your clients? Going to give you a quick minute to write down 5 things that spring to mind where people have told you that you have been great, where you've maybe gone above and beyond, where you've really wowed your clients. What are those? When you're done, pop either one in the chat box or unmute yourself and tell us.
I'm a bit of a slow typer, so I'll say it.
Go on, Paula. Share
it. So we do get great feedback, and it's sort of friendly staff, great massage, great tips, because they always give tips of how to carry on the effects of the massage with little easy stretches, that sort of thing. They always ask how the pressure is, which goes down really well. And basically, we then send an extra little pack, like a little desk pack of stretches, and that they can have to keep on the service of what we've done. And they like that.
Nice. I like that. So what I'm hearing you say there is you check in with the client on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
You give them extra tips to continue the good work that you are doing, even when you're not there. And actually, you also then do that by sending them something to continue that good work when you're not there. Perfect. Love that. I just wanted to kind of put that into something a bit more for everyone. No, that's fine. Anyone else got something like this?
Yeah, I'm happy to go if you want now.
Go.
Yeah, so if I see someone about outfits or shopping, I continue to give them, if I see things, I'm constantly sending them things saying this would be great for you as well. So ongoing support as well. If they, I mean, again, I'm just relating it to what I do. If they see an outfit and they try it on, they can send me a photo and get an honest answer. So I say, if they like it, don't send it to me if you don't want an honest answer. I think, yeah, just surprising them with my knowledge, you know, and showing them things they just don't know, which is pretty much what Paula was saying as well. And yeah, a bit like with the Friendly, just they go away having had fun as well, rather than just learning. So they go away having had a brilliant experience, not just learnt some things.
Yep.
But they have a good experience as well.
Nice. Like it. Anyone else? Go on, one more.
We get quite a lot of feedback on the friendliness of our communication. So when somebody picks up the phone, talk to another surveying firm, you might have some old bag that's been there for 20 years that doesn't care, and quite robotic. But we always make a point of being nice to people.
Nice.
So it goes back to making them feel important.
Yeah. Love that. Thank you. On the side of this, if you've got space on the side, else it's underneath. List 5 things where things haven't gone fully right and where you've maybe had to dig deep to go and salvage a situation. But where at the end of that salvaging, the client still left happy or was really happy with how you did that.
Shall I pipe up again?
Go on. Sounds like you instantly knew. Go.
Well, a while ago, we had a client that thought we'd missed something in our report, but they came back to us 9 months after they'd moved in. So rather than letting this develop into a complaint, we went down to their property the same day. So we had a real quick response to what they needed.
Nice.
We took time on site to explain why there was a disparity between their expectation and what we delivered. And then gave them a little bit of free advice, and that headed off hours and hours worth of time-consuming complaint.
Nice, like that. But equally, that still took time out of your day to do there and then, but it saved you hours later down the line.
Exactly right, and cost if it went to the ombudsman.
Yeah. Okay, so what I picked up there is education, communication. Good. And maybe speed of education and communication, but yeah, good. Like that. Anyone else got something?
Yeah, I've got one actually. So we had a therapist. We have got a great client, big client, Elegis, and we had last year when we did our roadshow, and I was up north, and there was 2 girls, Becky, who's amazing, and this new girl that were doing the Bracknell office, and the new girl she phoned me when I was up north, couldn't do anything about it. She was late. She came in drinking a cup of coffee, didn't apologise, just awful. And when I came back down south, I met up with the lady that I was dealing with and just, apologised and just said, please, can I rebook you and your senior people in and do like a free session? Luckily, Jackie had already rectified the situation and stayed late, and she was amazing. So luckily, they're still using us, and obviously the ladies no longer with us. But yeah.
And she hadn't asked for that, did she? For you to come in and
no. I picked up from Jackie that there was a problem.
Yeah, exactly. So for you, that was about recognizing the severity of what that could be and actually proactively going in and doing something about it.
Yeah, I'm just saying this is not how we work. I'm so sorry. Blah, blah, blah.
Nice. Absolutely like that. Very good. Nice one. Oh. We've kind of just, well, I've made you do 5, but that's maybe part of some actions afterwards. And actually, for those of you with a team, I would run this as a team exercise and get the team, especially if you've got a team that is equally client facing, I would get them to come up with some of this stuff. Like, what have been their moments of truth in your business? What have they done where they've really shone is the right thing there. What have they done to really wow your clients? And that could be in a combination of they've done something on their own back just because they thought about it and not necessarily because there was a crisis. But then equally, when there has been a crisis where everything has gone to pot, what have they done to rectify that? And share that as a team exercise, because people can learn from this. And also, what kind of great ideas can you pick up from that you can use and that you can make standard across the board? So I love doing that as a team exercise. But even if you haven't got a team, do that for yourself. Continue that. 5 doesn't need to be the number. I just did 5 in terms of what we're doing here this morning. But just list that. What have been your moments of truth? And it doesn't even need to be in your business. It could be in a previous business, in a previous role, something where you kind of went, actually, I really was the bee's knees in this, and this is the reason why. Because can you use that in your current business as well? We were all humans before we had a business. I know sometimes it's, surprising, but we were all like normal humans. Right. What's the biggest reason? Actually, no, let's just go through quickly in the chat box, reasons why people leave you. So clients leave you. Sadly, they do. But why? What are the key reasons why your clients leave you? Paula, if you're not a quick, I was going to say, if you're not a quick typer, feel free to unmute yourself, but you were in first. Well done. No funds, process is complicated, cost. Any others before I?
That was process is completed now, sorry.
Sorry?
That was process is completed, not complicated.
Oh.
Sorry.
I thought you meant it's finished, they're done, they're going. Okay, but complicated. Okay. Cost is coming back quite regularly. That's an interesting one. Okay, let me talk you through this. 1% of your clients leave you because they die. I know. It sounds a little bit, but it is. 1% of your clients will leave you because they die. Can't do much about that. 3% leave you because they've moved house, area, different location. For some of you, that might not be as relevant because they might be able to take you with them, but for most people, that has an impact. 5% start buying from a friend. So they all of a sudden have a friend or a family member that does the same to what you do, and they will start buying from them instead. Just quickly looking what else is coming in the chat box. Don't understand the scope. Process, not a good fit. They really want cheap and not bespoke. Oh, nice one, Tina. 9% are pinched by your competitors. Ooh, boo. We hate that. %14 is product and price. So when you think about it, only 14% of your clients leave you because the price is no longer right, or they can find it somewhere cheaper, or the product that they need is no longer what you have, or like Tina says, cheap versus bespoke. But only 14%, which is funny because that's what all of you put in your, practically all of you put in your answers. 68% leave you because of perceived indifference. They feel that you no longer care about them. You don't give them the same attention they did when they started. They feel unloved. They don't feel special anymore. Now, when I look at those facts and figures, I would probably say, so out of that 100% that we do have, there's about 9%. Let's round it up to 10 just to be on the safe side. That you can't do anything about. You can't control that. People will die. People will move house. People will start buying from friends and family instead. You can't control that. That's going to happen. But that's only 10%. Those others you can control. Those others you have a say in. Those others you have a part to play in. And 68% leave because they think that you don't care about them anymore. That's huge. Absolutely huge. And that's where the challenge comes in. And this is what we've been talking about already. Most of your customers are silent customers. They won't tell you what they think. The biggest question is, how often do you ask? Because a lot of business owners I work with or speak to don't ask. Why not? Anyone? Reason you don't ask?
Maybe.
Sorry, did you say time?
It's an excuse. I know, I'm just saying.
Yeah, that could be an excuse. That's not really the biggest reason. Elaine, what were you going to say?
I suppose if I think about why maybe I don't ask, a couple of things. One is, I think in what I do, probably not used to asking for reviews or feedback. And then maybe you don't want to know the answer is the other one.
Jackpot! Yeah. Little bit uncomfortable, and that's why most of you, Tina and I, are excusing, and Elaine is excusing this one as well. We're foreign. We're a bit different, although then it still does depend. Most people just don't ask because they're scared to know the answer. What if they come back and they say they don't like us? So actually, the service is not maybe up to standard as what they thought it was going to be. Yeah, but would you not rather know and do something about it? But we don't ask. We don't ask also because of time, or we don't make time. We don't have a strategy for it. But the silent customer is the deadly customer. I've kind of said this throughout my networking in the last couple of weeks leading up to today's workshop. But of all the customers that don't tell you, and it's only 4% of your customers will actually tell you what they think about you and your service. Only 4%. All the others, of the unhappy ones, all the others will go and tell 9 to 15 other people. Would you not rather be one of those 9 to 15 people? So how often do you survey your clients? Pop it in the chat box, unmute yourself. How often do you survey your clients?
Yeah, I don't. I survey directly after.
When they're happy and their pheromones are going and they love you and everything feels a bit loose. Yeah. Never.
It's very true.
Yeah. Dependent upon size, annually, quarterly. Yeah, James, for your, because you're ISO registered, yours is slightly different, but yeah, there'll be never. And I guess in your case, actually, James, although you probably do, you probably have a whole process around this, but I would go, okay, so you get that back. How often do you then pick up the phone and actually speak to clients and go, I know we've done this, but can we just do one face-to-face, like a human version of this?
That normally sits with our annual and quarterly, and then we use the survey as part of that. Up to equally, obviously, because we run off of tickets. Our ticketing system does 1 in 3 for any user in any month, which means that obviously we're getting constant instant feedback, which is great. But again, our largest customer is 2,500 seats, and I'm lucky to get 20 feedbacks a month.
Yeah. I get that, and maybe a month is then too much, or maybe it's not. I sometimes it's worth testing and measuring and seeing what the sweet spot is in terms of how often you ask. But that's maybe a different conversation. Tim, we invite feedback through reviews from consumer clients when sending reports, but don't ask for targeted feedback for our own purpose. We rarely ask for business feedback. Yeah, great one. What a great thing, though, because that means now you can change it. There are some really simple ways that you can do that. So, for example, yes, we can ask for Google reviews, but I think Google reviews are not always the right thing in this case. So you have something like Net Promoter Score could be one of those. It's probably one of the easiest ones. If anyone wants to get that set up, we've got a great, there is no skin on my nose, but we've got a great deal with Net Promoter Score get you set up. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know. I'll connect you up with the team there. How many times should we be asking if they don't respond after the first request? Oh, that's a great one. Kind of depends a little bit, Sarah. You could ask in multiple kind of ways. You might just kind of go with how often you do this as well. So that might just be, again, that might be a bit of a test and measure as to what's that tipping point before they do and don't. So yeah, net promoter score is often a good one. Something like Trustist is another opportunity, although for me that links maybe a little bit more back into social media and Google reviews, and not so much into getting a truthful answer. I think the key to this, what I find, is that the timing needs to be right, the frequency needs to be right, but more importantly, it needs to be anonymous. In whatever way people are asked to leave your feedback, they will generally be more honest if they can be anonymous, especially to start with. It doesn't help because you can't necessarily do things, go and have conversations direct. If you're quite happy to do that and your clients are happy to be honest with you, then that's absolutely great. But a lot of people find it easier to start with to fill in feedback if it's anonymous. The other thing I would probably say is keep it simple. If and when you're now going to implement this, keep it simple. I would say no more than 5 questions. Maybe go with, the way I often work this with clients is ask something around what's one thing that we do really well, or what do you love about what we do? Could be one of those. Maybe what's one thing we could do better? What's one thing we could do different? So ask some specific questions. I've seen you, Sarah. Give me 2 seconds. Specific, but no more than 5 questions, even 3. It's fine. Just keep it really simple. Maybe a score out of either 10. Some people like to have a score out of 5. But I would equally allow, so maybe do a combination of score us on, and then here are a couple of questions to ask that you'd like them to fill in. Sarah, you had your hand up.
Yeah, as it's obviously just me, it's harder to say what did I do well, because people are, if it's a we, then people are more likely to give you more honest feedback because it's not a personal thing. So how would you address the fact, because if I put what did we do well, they know it's just me, but how would you sort of address the fact that I'm asking them to tell me what they think of me? They might go, well, I really like you, but you didn't do this well, so I'm not going to tell you.
For me that comes down to positioning.
Yes,
positioning the point of the survey. So I would always go down the route of we are doing this to improve our services. We are doing this to improve the business. We all know that honest feedback is the only way we're going to do this. I would love for you to be brutally honest, because that's the only way we can improve things. And even if that might sound harsh or brutal, I'd rather have that than not have anything at all.
So you'd still use the we, even if people know it's just me, because obviously they've worked with me and they know I work on my own.
Well, yeah, no.
What's all this we about, or not?
No, then I would talk about I.
Yeah.
If you wanted to take that out of the question, so the positioning I would do in I and me.
Yeah.
If you really wanted to, do the survey, you could just put Sarah instead of I. If you wanted to create a little bit
third person for Sarah, like that.
But the positioning bit, I would definitely do with I in your case.
Okay.
I. Sorry.
I.
We have an Action Coach client survey that we do every year. I didn't participate this year. I got told off. There we go. And it was really interesting because despite the fact that the last couple of years I've sort of given directions on it, I still have people that fill it in and I see the scores come in and I'm like, oh my God. And I'm straight on the phone going, why did you score us that score? Not necessarily because I'm like, how dare you, but more of a, where's that come from? Because I've missed something somewhere I didn't realize. And then when they've explained what the score was about, it makes sense. And actually it was nothing to do with me. It was about the organization, but that's okay. But it would have been really easy to to judge the score and link it back to me. So it opened up a conversation, if nothing else. So keep that in mind, that that's something you can equally do. And it's never about judging, but always about, can you explain a bit more where that score's come from, just so I can make some changes? And just remember that because you get a bunch of singular things, it doesn't mean that therefore you've got to change everything. Sometimes it's about understanding, reviewing, creating that awareness and going, actually, is that something I need to change, or was that a one-off? If that's a one-off, and sometimes that's that mismatch of expectations, if that keeps coming back, then it might be about how do you change that earlier in the process. Does that make sense so far? I've not lost anyone just yet. Perfect. Not just yet. So to wow your clients, what do we really need? It's pretty straightforward. First of all, it needs to be consistent. I mean, how many times have you been to a restaurant and you go, oh my God, the food was amazing. The customer service was amazing. It was just, the atmosphere was great. We loved it. We ended up in a lock-in at the end of the evening, whatever, you know, I'm sorry, that might just be me. That's fab. And then the next time you take 4 other friends and you're like, this place is the bee's knees, and you go in and the food's like lukewarm and the customer service is like just throwing the food on the table, and they kind of kick you out because they've got more people coming in, and you kind of go, oh, that's a bit weird last time. And then you feel a little bit stupid because you've just said to your friends, this place is the bee's knees, and now all of a sudden it's not. So we as clients thrive on consistency. If we don't get a consistent customer service, it makes us nervous. And nervous means we start doubting. When we start doubting, it means trust starts crumbling. And it is so easily done. It's so easy to win clients, but actually it's really, really easy to lose clients just by being inconsistent. And I would probably say as a small business, it's even harder because we're in charge of all of it. And we're spinning so many plates. So how consistent are you showing, how consistently are you showing up every single time for your clients? And we also need to make it easy to buy. Again, often we make it too hard. Sign this, but for me to sign this, I have to print it off, and then I have to sign it, and then I have to rescan it or take a picture of it before I email it back. Too much. Pay for this course, and then you kind of email me, and then I have to email an invoice, and then just click on the link and buy. Click on the link and buy it now. Make it easy for them. So when is the last time, and I've asked this question already, but when is the last time you have flow charted out, mapped out what your customer journey looks like? A few weeks ago for Sarah? Where are your bottlenecks right now? Where is your consistency being dropped? Where are you making things way too complicated? And how throughout that whole process do you make it easy to buy? I did this exercise a couple of weeks ago, not with Sarah, but with one of my other clients. I've been kind of hopping on about this in the last couple of months, actually. And I did this with one of my clients. And as we were going through this, we saw where the bottleneck majorly sat. So we made the process a lot easier for clients to buy, but also from an administrative perspective in the background for him, a lot easier to manage. And when we caught up yesterday, he said, actually, it's saving me about 3 hours a week at a minimum right now. But actually what it's mainly saving me is a lot of stress. Because I'm not constantly going, have I been in touch with so-and-so? Oh, I still need to check with this one. Have they paid? I need to go and check. Just that constant worry of ting, 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 ting is stopped because we've got everything mapped in the process. So yes, it's saving him 3 hours of actual working time every week, but it's also saving him a lot less distraction time and stress time by just mapping out that process and finding how can we make that easier. And that's where you will create your wow factor. And it's as simple as that. I remember reading the story. I should have had the book. Oh, let me waft it. Let me waft. If you want to read a great book, no one will be surprised. I'm going to give you a book recommendation. It's 5-Star Service by Michael Heppel. Written like that. Michael Heppel, P-L. 5-Star Service, Michael Heppel, guy from up north, Newcastle-y kind of way. Yeah, he's a Geordie. And one of the stories in this book I absolutely love. He goes on holiday with his wife. Can't remember, with his wife and daughter. Can't remember fully what country it was in, but let's say something like Dubai. And he goes to the Ritz-Carlton again, something like that. And as they get out of the taxi, the porter or the what's it called, the bellboy kind of concierge welcome them out of the taxi, says, "Oh, good afternoon, Mr. and Mrs. Heppel. Welcome back to the Ritz-Carlton." So he already knew that they were coming back, that they'd been there before. "We have put you back in your favorite suite." They had little tokens across the suite of things that Mrs. Heppel liked. So it was all around, they'd remembered from last time they were there. Did they remember? Of course not, because the staff has probably changed over 4 times since the last time they were there. They've got it all automated. They've got a process of how they remember that. They have a process of telling their staff in the morning, today at about 11 o'clock, Mr. and Mrs. Heppel are coming back for the second time to the Ritz-Carlton. So he knows. They might have even have a picture of this is what they look like. So when they come out the taxi, they know who to welcome. Who knows? I don't know what their process is, but they've got it. So what does yours look like for your business and for your clients? If you have never done this, I would definitely put a big fat red A next to it and do it. And if you don't want to do this by yourself, come and chat to me because I can help you with that. So what does your customers, let me just start that again. What gives your customers the feeling of consistency? What does that look like in your business? How can you use that? What can you use? And in some cases, that's automation. In some cases, that's a process. In some cases, that's a CRM with reminders. If you don't have that just yet, and that's not something that you want, it could be setting reminders in your diaries. Find a way to create that consistency that is easy for you to maintain, because that's the key thing. If it's hard for you to do, you won't do it. So how do you make that easy for you to do? And then equally, how can you make it easy for them to buy from you? Don't think that book's on Audible. No, it's not. It's not, Sarah. It's one that you're going to have to read. Sorry. And they're not always easy to find on Amazon either. If you really can't find a copy, let me know. I've got one here in the office, but it's signed. So that means you have to guard it with your life, and I will kill you if you lose it. Simple. And else let me know, because I might be able to get some copies through Action Coach if need be, or I'll ask Michael direct. It's fine. Boom, name drop. Soz. It's fine. Anyway. So yeah, how do you make it easy for them to buy from you? Again, just maybe have a look at your process right now when you do that process mapping. Where could you make that easier for you and your business? And then how can you create wee wows? And I've picked that up from Michael because I absolutely love that. But that's the little wows, the little, oh, wow. Oh, that's nice. Wow. Oh, lovely. All those kind of things. What do they look like? I remember, actually, this was Dubai. We went to Dubai quite a few years ago. And we walked in, and as we were standing at the reception desk, they showed up, and obviously it's Dubai in November, and me and Heath, we're not the best of friends anyway, so I'm already going like this. We'd come from Abu Dhabi, so we sat in the car, so I'm already like sweating profusely. And I walk in, and they walk over with like a towel for your hands and your face to pick up the sweat, and I'm already like, oh wow, this is lovely. And then they brought out a refreshing drink and some dates to eat, and I'm like, oh wow, this is lovely. And then I go to the ladies, as Spencer's checking in, and they have like a beautiful bathroom, and they don't have paper towels. They have like, you know, proper nice, and they're not the really horrid ones that you scrape your hands with, but they're really soft little towels. And I'm coming back to the reception. I'm like, Spence, oh, wow, the toilets. And I think after day 2, he went, Nell, you've got to stop this. Like, you can only have 2 wows a day, because I'm getting annoyed with every wow that you keep giving. So, but that's the kind of thing that you would want for your business. And what do your wee wows look like? And how do you plant them in? And some will be accidental. But again, when I take that back to that hotel experience, they've not just that day decided, oh, Nell's coming in, this is what we're going to do. Well, obviously, now that they know who I am, they will. But anyway. But that's their process, and they create these little things, and it's nothing. So what does yours look like? And we can do this as well as a service-based business. Has anyone experienced one of these from a service-based business that they would like to share? Because I know often in business services, a lot of people think, oh, but that's so easy to do either in hospitality or where you have a product. But what about a service-based business? Anyone experienced anything?
I always love it when they give me a little drink, even if it's water. If you're somewhere, when I'm taking clients shopping or something, and you get, I will take them into the shops that go, do you like a glass of water? Can I get you a drink? It's like a tea coffee, you know, or something better, obviously. But those little things make me want to take my clients in there, because you know, they get that extra little bit of service. Here's a seat, have a seat, have a drink. Let's talk about it. Actually,
and I will add to that, if it's a nice drink. I went to the new hairdressers the other day, as you may have seen on the socials, and she said, would you like a drink? And I went, you know what, I'll have a coffee. And I'm normally pretty particular about my coffee, as most of you will know as well. And actually they brought out a proper, not an instant cup of coffee, but a proper cup of coffee, like from a nice machine with a nice biscuit. I thought, yeah, that's the way.
Biscuit was the wee wow.
That's a little wee wow, exactly. And in my head, I went, oh, nice touch, like it. Anyone else got one before I move on? Tim, you've unmuted.
Yeah, well noticed. Hotel in Bali I stayed in, all of the staff, whenever you pass each other in a corridor or like kind of like they were in the same room, they'd always say hello, which is cool. I mean, it got a little bit annoying, but it's something you want to talk about because it was really cool and they were really friendly.
Yeah. Maybe we should do that from now on every time. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Oh, yeah. It was more than that. It was, hello, how are you? Yeah. It was, and they wanted an answer. So yeah, that's why it got annoying. But it was really, really fun.
But actually in retail, and I would often say retail is generally, especially here in the UK, is often on the list of how not to do things. Because how often do you walk into a shop and you almost feel like you shouldn't have walked in because you've just disturbed them either doing something else important that was still not selling, or just kind of disturbed them and they didn't really want to see a customer, and you might as well just walk back out.
As in France, they're quite good at saying hello, aren't they? Even if they know that you're likely to be just browsing and bugger off.
Yeah. Right. So let me talk you through the ladder of loyalty. How do we get to having raving fans for your business? And I did do this at BNI at a really quick snapshot the other day, but it starts at the bottom with a suspect. And a suspect is someone really simple that sits in your target audience. And I would probably say target audiences, because for some of you, you might have different. Tim's already alluded in the chat there, he has domestic clients and he has commercial clients. So that's a different target audience. And even within those, you might have different strands. But first of all, it's about you understanding who is your target audience or target audiences. Who is it that if you were to stand out on the street and you shout about your product or service that you are potentially talking to? Now, if you don't know who that is, that would be your first action. Go and map that out. Quick show of hands. Who here is super clear on who their target audience is? Oh, wow. That's like, okay. There's a couple that are doing like this. So that means not really. I would say that requires some work. You should be able to at least share what that looks like.
I'm pretty sure I do, but you know, when you think there might be some that I'm missing.
Yeah. Always, but that's good, and we can always continue to add to it. So first of all, do you know who your suspects are? They're the greatest starting point. That's what we need to continue. Then we go on to prospects. And a prospect becomes a prospect when they take action. Oh, look, that's gone a bit funny. It means you've collected their details. You might have a download on your website that they've had to fill their email address in to download that. They might have had to add in their phone number. It might be that you add people to a newsletter, or they add themselves to a newsletter. In which places can they add themselves to your newsletter? So a prospect is someone that ends up in your CRM, in your database. All of a sudden, they are not just a female that lives in Surrey that is above 40, i.e. your suspect. All of a sudden, she has a name, and she's called Nell. And you have her email address, and you might have her phone number. So all of a sudden, you start getting a little bit of information. Quick side thought with this. Do you know how many suspects you have in your local area or within your industry, for your industry? And do you know how many prospects you currently have? One of the rants I often go on, and I'll not go on it today, but one of the rants I often go on is if you're really active on social media, you have a lot of suspects. They are not prospects unless they enter your database. If tomorrow LinkedIn stops working, Mark Zuckerberg decides to close down Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. Anyone still on Threads? All of a sudden, you have lost your whole suspect pool. How often do you try to move people from your suspect into your prospect list? What's your strategy there? Do you have different strategies? And how often do you do that? Because they're already out there. And sometimes we spend so much time on marketing and kind of suspect prospect, they overlap here in this stage, but we spend so much time on marketing and wanting to speak to new people, that we forget who's already there, but we're not talking to them direct. So how do we move them across? And do you have a strategy for that in place? So we've identified who your audience is. We've started gathering their details. Next, they become a shopper. And a shopper is when they buy once. So they buy from you one time. They confirm their details. All of a sudden, you've got the right email and the right phone number, and maybe even the address in some cases. And too often at this stage, we think, oh, we have a new client, customer, whatever your terminology is, patient. Oh, there's none in this room today for patients. And we think, yay, we've got them. And then we go back to the bottom of that ladder and go and focus some more on getting more suspects and more prospects. But actually, they've only bought once right now. They've dipped their toe in the water. They're checking out what you're all about. Right now, at this stage, there is zero trust. There might be a tiny bit, but there is very little trust. There is definitely no loyalty. And actually, the speed at which they buy, or where they might buy next, is very, very slow. Too often, business owners get stuck at this level. They think that they've got it now because they have a new client. But actually, this is only the starting point of building that relationship. So how do we turn them into customers? Well, they need to buy again. And as most of the metrics will show you, a repeat customer normally buys from you again, 60-70% of converting when you do. But actually, what is the biggest reason you want people to buy from you again? It's one word and it starts with a P. I'll make it easy. This is like Hangman. Go on. Who's going to be first? Who knows it?
Again, I was still writing. What was the question again?
Said, what's the most important reason why you want your shoppers to buy from you again and become customers? It's one word and it starts with a P.
Profit.
Profit. Woo! Correct, Paula. Profit. Your profit sits in repeat business. It's not just about the fact that it makes your life easier. Actually, that's where the profit sits. So how can you get customers to buy from you a second time? What works in your business? Pop it in the chat box. What have you experienced as a customer somewhere where you maybe have bought something and you might not have been necessarily sure whether you were going to buy again, but they've done something specific that's made you buy again? What are your reasons? Either unmute yourself, talk us through it, or else pop it in the chat box.
We've got a VIP club.
Mm.
So as soon as they have booked once, from then we automatically join them as a VIP member, which gives them 10% from the total bill, but also little extras, like we send them some little extra stretches, little key dates, first.
Nice.
You know, to say, for example, things like Mental Health Awareness Day, they get first. Yeah.
Nice. So that's instant, like they become part of the team. There's instant communication that goes out to them.
Yeah.
Nice. What's more of what you have to offer because they enjoyed it first time and had a great service. Yes, but how do you do that, Sarah? How do they come to you instead of someone else? Or how do you do that as a client yourself? Like when you're a customer somewhere else, how do you become a customer somewhere else? Yes, you can wow them at that first meeting. And what does that look like? But what else could you be doing? What else could you start in place for those that maybe weren't wowed with that first one? Elaine, I saw that you unmuted yourself.
Yeah, I think for me, if I go back to somewhere, usually it's because they've reminded me they're still there, or
nice,
do something to, yeah, trigger my memory.
Yes, great one. And when you think about that, how often do you do that for your business? Hey, you're still here. I put it in one of my weekly nuggets the other day. One of the curly wash people that I use, that sounded really random. The products I use for my hair, every whatever week's frame, they send me an email and they go, hey, it must be about time for you to replace your you know, your products here. Go and shop here. Thanks. Actually, I was thinking that I was running a bit low. Should go and get it. And they obviously know through testing and measuring roughly how many times on average people wash their hair and roughly at what stage by then you should be running out of product. And it might be slightly off, but actually it's a good one. It saves me going to search it somewhere else. Great. Love that. So newsletters, email marketing could all be automated. Great one to turn clients into customers, maybe offering them a little bit of a, I'll not necessarily call it a discount because I don't always agree with that, but it could be an extra incentive to why they want to buy. So what's the added value maybe, or what's something extra they're going to get, Sarah?
Yeah, I'm on a personal note with my business. I struggle with this because it's not, you can't rebuy once you know that you have to then do another service or another service that you can't redo. You know, once you know your body shape, your things, and you've done a bit. So it is coming back again, I suppose, the next year to do a bit more shopping, but you don't then rebuy those first bits. So
no, but it's
the first bit, it's kind of upselling.
It's upselling, and then for you, I would say it's about referrals.
Referrals, yes.
You know, who else can they tell about you? And the fact that you maybe send out updates of this is what's coming in this season, so they kind of know what they might need to look for them specifically. And then, you know, who else do they know? So that's what I would play on from your perspective. Client education, James. Yes. Shopping for different seasons. Yes, I like that one. Okay. So we've got your suspects. We know who's in your target audience. We've started collecting a first bit of their details on the prospect list. They buy from you once. Yay. Then all of a sudden we kind of send them little reminders or a little incentive or a prize draw. Prize draw often works really well. Competition, spin the wheel. I like to spin the wheel. I have to admit, I'm a bit of a sucker for a spin the wheel and win something. Funnily enough, I generally always win something. That's very good. I've had some companies where I've shopped before where they do like a spin the wheel for the week, like as a bit of a campaign. Very exciting every day. You can spin the wheel, win something. Oh, yep, I'm one of those. So easy sometimes. But can you put that in your business in that kind of way? So now we have customers. They buy from you. They buy from you more than once. They continue to buy from you. But how do we make them members? And members is really where we create a member kit. So Paula, your VIP list, I would almost sit that into members, but I would probably say the difference between just putting people in there and people really being in there is how much they engage with it. How much do they use it? And members kit is that could be the merch. You know, how many people do you see walking around with their favorite coffee shop mug because they feel part of that organization? It's the t-shirts, it's the caps, it's the stickers on the cars. It could be notepads, it could be pens. What else funky stuff have you got? It could be a VIP club, it could be a members rubber ducks. Have you been to my bathroom, Tim Clark? I don't think you have, because I wasn't home when you did. So if you have, I'd be very suspicious. Just thought I'd point that out. But indeed, I have quite a few. But rubber ducks could work. It could be something else. It could be a podcast or a training session like this that only goes out to people that are in your membership program. What does your members kit look like? In my case, it could be a fortune cookie and a Fredo. It could be coloured pens and a notepad. Books. What does your member kit look like? And you could have different member kits for different audiences. In Tim's case, your domestic clients versus your B2B clients might have a different members kit. One of my builder clients used to go and deliver a beautiful orchid when they were done with the build, and about a week later, he would go and deliver an orchid for the lady of the house to say, thank you for having us. Apologies for the intrusions, whatever that may be. Hand delivered, not even a, sent in the post. It was hand delivered. In James's case, it could be a sign. I think, James, if you haven't got this, this needs to be made. Sign. Have you turned it off and on? If not, do that first before you ring us. Bespoke IT. Sorted. That honestly needs to hang up every desk, every client that you've ever had and will have and have right now. Important question. Have you turned it off or on and on? If not, do that first, then ring us if it doesn't work. Anyway, but play around with this. It can be a bit fun. I mean, if your business is fun and you try to create, and don't get me wrong, like mine is serious, but I also like to have a little bit of fun. Make it fun. It doesn't need to be boring. Part of my members kits or my planners. I was telling one of my clients yesterday, all my clients who've got offices, who've got their planners hanging up are my best referrers. Because other business owners walk in and go, oh, Post-its. what's that all about? And they start talking about it, and they're my best referrers. So it's kind of part of my members kit. And get a planner.
These days, sorry. These days, and this really wasn't when you did this last time. You know, things like that. Everybody loves slapping them over social media now. Look what me. Whereas back in the day, they didn't do that, but now everybody likes going, look what I've got. It was a freebie. And
correct, absolutely. I love it. I love it when people send me random things. Saw this and thought of you. Love it.
Can I just say, I absolutely love that, and I'm going to start getting some little massage boards with logos on and start sending them out afterwards. So thank you.
Love that one. There you go. Paula's got value already. She can go. I get these from Sam. Oh, sorry. They're like little notepads that are also a mouse mat. And I'd run out of it. And I went, have you got more of these? Because they're really good, because they're that good size where when I'm chit-chatting like this and someone says, oh, could you? And I write it on here and then I get the pad full and then I can just get rid of it because you take them off. Oh. Anyway. Everyone got some ideas around members' kits and what they could be doing? And they could be really simple. They could be like Elaine. I can almost imagine you going, what do I do with this? I can almost see it. It could be as simple as sending them a notebook and a pen so they can make some notes. It could be something relevant to rewards, whether it's a beautiful, like on
calculator.
Etsy. Sorry?
Calculator.
Calculator could also be good, especially if it's branded, even better. But you could even send them like a lovely quote. Tim's showing off. Is that your brochure?
It's more than the brochure, it's a book. So it's got content on it. It's not just salesy. So we leave that when we meet solicitors and referrers.
Yeah. But if you think about it, people that have bought from you, how do you, and especially in your case, like the ones that are good referrers, because for some of you, your members will be introducers, not necessarily clients. If you have, like in Tim's case, and potentially also in Sarah's case, when you mainly have a database, or your clients tend to come to you, even in Tina's case, where they come to you and then once they've been, they kind of don't need you for a while anymore. A, it's then about how do you keep them and use them for referrals, but then B, who are your introducers? Who are the other businesses that introduce you? Like in Tina's case, that would be interior designers, bathroom and kitchen designers, work showrooms. That's what I was looking for. Those kind of people. So they would then sit in your members group. How do you make them members? So what is it that you leave them with? And it could be as simple as one of my clients once had like every quarter they would do something for their members. And it could be this quarter we're sending them an unexpected box of donuts on a Friday afternoon and say, hey, on us. And they would just get really creative. What are the bits that we can send them? And again, this was all processed out, mapped out in the course of the year. Elaine, the point I was making for yours was you could get something like on Etsy, you can get these really lovely painted quotes or whatever around something about the purpose of having rewards or the importance for employers to have rewards, something like that. And it could be as simple as that, but just something that makes them feel a little bit like, oh, wow, that's a bit different. I love postcards and cards, and it's not that easy anymore in the post because you could send it. It could take 7 weeks before it gets there, but you know what I mean? It's still good. There was a time when you could send it today and it would get there tomorrow. That feels like that's ancient. Anyway, then we go on to advocates. Advocates is when they start telling other people about you. But to what Sarah was already saying, they start sharing it on social media. Start telling their friends that they've been to see you, that they've used you. They leave you a review. They might even send you a referral here or there. But mainly it's about they engage with you on social media. So they might retweet, they might reshare, they might like or comment on most of your posts. They read your newsletters. They're the ones that are still engaging with you and that tell other people that they've used you and that they love you. They might just not love you. They might just kind of, you know, they're at that. This is a good business. They're very useful for us. The key thing that you need with advocates is they need to see results. They need to have seen results. They need to have seen the outcome. They need to have loved what you have done. So get them results first, because without results, they're not ever going to become advocates. So it's the difference with someone, Sarah, walking out going, oh my God, I love my transformation, to someone going, yeah, this was all right. When you get the, yeah, this was all right, they're never going to be advocates. And then obviously on the top of that ladder is where we have raving fans. And your raving fans is someone that does the selling for you. They're the ones that when they bring you a referral, that person is kind of signed up already, because that other person isn't all the selling for you. You just need to tell them what program they need, or what retainer they're going to go on, or what's right for them. You still might need to ask them a couple of questions so you know, but the selling's already done. They're not a cold lead. They're not a lukewarm lead. They're a hot lead. They're ready to buy. They're ready for you to scoop up. The raving fans that you have, reward them for being raving fans. Whether you have a referral scheme, whether you have a raving fan scheme that you share with them, or you don't, it's beside the point. Have one. What's your loyalty card look like? And a loyalty card is easy when you've got people walking through the door all the time and they get a stamp. But what's your equivalent of a loyalty card? And if you have a client that gives you a couple of referrals and you give them a thank you in whatever kind of way, and also think, what's a new client worth to you? For some of you, that could be, you know, peanuts. If you're a florist, it could be 30 quid. But for some of our services, that could be £1,000+. And you've not had to go and find them through marketing. So is it worth you having a loyalty club card situation where you give them £50, £100 to say thank you for this new client, because you've not had to go and spend that on marketing to go and get this new client? So what is a new client worth to you, and how are you going to thank your raving fan for bringing that particular client to you? So what does your referral process look like? What does your scheme look like? Have you got one? The only thing you need to be careful of, some of the, and especially if you're in B2B services, if, for example, you have as introducers accountants, they often can't accept like money. So you might need to think, like, sometimes people think, oh, I'll give them, you know, we'll give them money off a bill, or you'll do something else. Just, I would always ask, if you do that on a regular basis, and especially if you have like regular referrals or referrers, just double check what their legality is around what they are and aren't allowed to receive, so you don't send them anything. I also think in the last couple of years, funnily enough, I used to get, for example, for Christmas, I'd often get bottles of wine from some people that I'd referred clients to, and they've stopped doing that because there are so many people these days that are no longer drinking. Or something like food becomes a little bit more complicated, because if people have got allergies or likes or dislikes, and for me that goes back to, how well do you know your clients? So I know that Sarah is gluten and dairy intolerant, so I would always send her stuff that links into that. I just send her a bottle of champagne, to be honest, but I know her well. But that's the whole point. How well do you know your clients? So that in your raving fans, can you tell me what their favorite food is, what their favorite drink is, what their favorite flower is? Have they got pets? Have they got kids? How much do you know about your raving fans? And can you therefore tailor your loyalty scheme, your thank you scheme for that, to what they need? You've got to remember, people are willing to pay extra for great service. It's not always about the money. Too often we think it's about the money, and actually it's not. I know so many people that have already said, I had a conversation last week with someone walking through a school really randomly. And he said, I would pay more for some tradies if they'd actually show up. He says, but we have so many that keep saying we can do it cheaper, we could do it cheaper, and they don't show up. People will pay more for great service. And too often we say one of our points of difference is we deliver great service. No, actually, first of all, most of us deliver good service. We should better deliver good service because that's why we're in business. Why else would you be in business for delivering bad service? But what does great service look like, and how do you do that consistently from the get-go? So, a few things that will help you with this. What's your voicemail look like? I phoned to one of my clients on the way home the other day, and I got this is the O2 answering message of 07 la 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 la. And I waited for the beep, and I went, I cannot believe you do not have a voicemail on here. How do I know that I have reached your business? And I just hung up. Now, luckily enough, he knows me well enough, and this is a client I know well enough that I can do this with. But if this was anybody of you in the room and I had that, at a minimum, I would go, don't mean to be funny, but you should have a voicemail that at least says who you are, business, so I know I'm in the right place. And then equally, is your voicemail a little bit exciting or inspiring? That's the first thing that people potentially get to. Things like sign-up forms. How easy are you making it for people to fill them in? Where can you fill them in? Where can people sign on things? Your first email. Are you using their language? For me, that goes back to DISC. If you understand DISC, if you don't understand DISC, that's a separate session we'll talk about. But use their language. Mirror stuff back to them. If they're talking about, oh, I feel like this, and whatever that may be, then there might be kinesthetic. Do that in the same kind of way. Learn to listen to what they're saying and respond in a way that's relevant for them. Cards are not just for Christmas. Don't send me a Christmas card. Don't need a Christmas card. Send me a card throughout the year that goes, awesome job, Nell. Now that is a little bit more special, because at Christmas, everyone sends cards to everyone. Doesn't make me feel special. But a card throughout the year for something unexpected, that's different. So think about the language that you use. Smile and put a bit of humor in. The quicker you can make someone smile, the quicker they will feel at ease. Don't do it in a creepy way, though. Don't do that whole, that's just creepy. Don't do that. You know, don't do that. You know, when you say to a 5-year-old smile and they do, don't do that. That's just weird. Don't do that. But naturally smile. Make them laugh. Obviously, for me, that's very easy because I'm very humorous. So some of you might need to go and do a course on that. One of my colleagues said the other day that he'd done a comedy course, and I just turned around and I went, I think you might want to redo that. Apparently, that was not the response he was after. Anyway, personal difference of opinion. And for me, it's very much about this. What can we learn from the hospitality industry? Because especially those 5-star, I love watching those programs, often on BBC Two, 5-star hotels, exceptional hotels, all those kind of ones, because I love learning what they put into their systems and processes around customer services that I love bringing into clients. And it doesn't necessarily mean from the hospitality, but what are you learning from the other businesses where you're getting 5-star service? What can you bring into yours? And as you know, we only have one chance to make a first impression. How are you doing that? And in my opinion, this has gone backwards since we've gone into COVID, since we've gone online. Too many people have forgotten how to show up and make a first impression. It's become so easy to just show up and wear your yoga pants especially Tim. He always wears his yoga pants. Going back face to face, networking made me go, ooh. What am I wearing? How am I showing up? But actually, it's not just that, it's everywhere. Kind of scurrying in an appointment lastminute.com. It's not right. So maybe review next couple of weeks for yourself, for your teams. How are you showing up? How are you making that first impression? And it's always that thing, isn't it? It's not about what you said to someone, it's how you made them feel. That's what they will remember. There's a whole quote around it. I always get it the wrong way around. But it's the same as it says on here, your smile's your logo, your personality, your business card. How you leave others feeling after the experience becomes your trademark. And how do we do that every single time? I know that when I show up at networking and I'm not fully feeling myself, people go, are you all right? You're a bit low today. And that's my fault. And normally I have rituals in the car to make sure that by the time I walk in that door, whatever time in the morning that may be, I'm switched on. Cracks slip through the net, but I shouldn't. It's not an excuse. Consistent and persistent removal of excuses is what I'm focusing on this year. Right, I have got something a bit special for you to finish us off with really quickly. I hope this is going to work. Give me a thumbs up that you can hear this. Go.
Well, thank you so much for asking me to do this. My name is Michael Hagel. I wrote a book, 5-Star Service. And if there's one key message that I would love you to take away from today and all this wonderful learning that you're getting, is the most important person in the world is not the customer, it's you. And you have to be better for yourself first. So everything you're learning today means nothing if you're not prepared to put it into practice. So take the ideas, use them, get out of your comfort zone and put them into practice. Now, from a wee wow, from the smallest thing that puts a deposit into the emotional bank account of the customer to a big life-changing thing that people will remember forever, every single part of the process depends upon one thing, and that is people having a desire to want to do something. So get out there, go for it, create amazing levels of service and be brilliant.
I love that. I chased that man round for 3 hours going, Michael, do me a video. Let's go. Oh, there we go. That, ladies and gentlemen, is all I have. The one thing I'm going to wrap up with is a question I would like to leave you with. A question I'd like you to work out and then message me separately because I'm not expecting that answer straight away. But when we bring all of this that you have learned here this morning down to one thing, which is more money. When you now look through your notes and you go through your action points and you look at what is that going to do to my business? How much more money are you expecting to put in your business by implementing these ideas and these strategies? And let me know what that number is. If you just had 10% more repeat clients than you have right now, if you have 10% of clients that instead of just being customers become members, or instead of members turn into advocates and raving fans, what would that do to your bottom line? That is all I have for today. I am aware that we are just about on time, just slightly over time, which I always hate. Anyone that needs to go, by all means, go. If you still have a question, please ask. I can quite happily stay for questions. Else, unmute yourself. Tell me one key learning that you've had out of this morning, please.
So I'm going to have to dash, but my key learning, well, I've got loads, but I think it's the contacting the clients in between the visits.
Cool.
100%.
Thank
you. Bye, everybody. So lovely to see you all again. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Sarah, I know you needed to go as well. So
I do.
Key learning?
Yeah, my key learning is that I just have to implement these things and get a strategy in place and not just let them happen by chance and think, oh, I haven't contacted so-and-so, so I need to
bring them to Growth Club so we can put some of them on the next quarter, or else they can go into the plan for next year, but at least bring them to Growth Club.
Get them sorted soon. I will do. Thanks. Lovely to see you all. Bye.
Thank you. Who else? Share a key learning, takeaway, whatever that may look like. Tim?
It's given me a nudge to figure out a strategy for better client follow-ups.
What's that going to add to your bottom line when you do that properly?
Oh, who knows?
Have a think about that, because honestly, that's an important one. And all of a sudden, when it has a monetary value against it, it often makes us do it more easily. Else it's just a nice pie in the sky kind of thing. But if you sit down and go, actually, if I did follow a better, and therefore my conversion rate from having customers turn into members would be this percent instead of this percent, and even if you play conservatively, what difference would that make based on the average spend?
Well, I guess it would depend on what the feedback is, because if they're saying, well, it's already easy to transact with you, then maybe we're on a price issue, which we're not going to change probably unless it goes up.
And always ask, what's the one thing we can do better?
Yeah,
people will always find one thing.
Yeah,
but yeah, great one. Elaine?
Thank you.
I think the ladder was really valuable. Just to think about it in that sort of structured way is quite good.
Cool. And map your clients out there as well, by the way. It depends, like in James's case, he's got a gazillion clients. That might be a bit harder. But for most of us, we tend to know roughly how many clients we have. So maybe put your clients in there and go, who sits where? Because again, that makes it really practical. And then you can go, right, who needs to move up from what to where and how are we going to do that? And then you can put strategies in place. So yeah, good one. Thank you. Tina?
I really like the ladder as well. And I think if I map where I spend my time on that becomes an interesting exercise that I think I spend a lot of time searching for the new clients rather than spending a proportional time on moving people up.
Yeah, love that. Thank you. James?
And I think, mine very much sits in that same sort of space as Tina. It's one of the things we've been discussing with Rebecca a lot about at the moment is about how we can engage and upsell our current clients rather than trying to constantly find new. The other thing that I think I'm going to take away from this is, no, I'd like to have a separate conversation with you about some customer service training, I think, for our teams, because I think actually some of the stuff that you were saying was really resonating with me. And actually, I think that especially for our client-facing teams, like obviously customer service is our number one, and that's what's going to make us more sellable is actually when they start talking about us more and the service they get from us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think customer services is one of those that we throw out so easily and actually means nothing and actually is instantly doubted by other people. So how do we put that in different words, better stories, but then actually how do we actually also deliver that better as we go through the journey? So yeah, absolutely. Yep, we can do that. Thank you very much for being here, team. Thank you very much for engaging. As always, I hope this was useful. Anybody who feels they're not walking away with a return on their investment, please let me know. Happily have that conversation. I'm here. Let me know how you get on with the changes that you are making. If there's any questions that you have after you watch this back as well, by all means, give me a shout. But thank you for being here. Have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you all very soon.
Thanks so much.